The way we consume and share news today, it is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. From the hottest issues of trends for our daily social media minute, we're joined by Erica. Good morning.
Morning.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
All right, let's jump into our first buzzword of the day. So perhaps it's a long time coming for animal activists, any animal lovers. It seems that way. But the problem is for new business owners with no other means of making money, it may become a problem. The ban on wild animal cafes is to take effect beginning today.
That's right. It's going to take effect starting from today. That is a planned ban on the operation of wild animal cafes. It's starting today, but the ban is drawing complaints from both cafe owners and animal rights activists. So it's not everything is all black and white. Cafe owners say that the ban is going to force them to close their businesses, which will leave these animals with nowhere to go, basically. And animal activists are advocating for a broader ban, on exhibiting these types of wild animals in closed establishments.
Broader plan for a ban.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the tug of war is pretty tense with neither sides able to budge. It seems like an all or nothing for the cafe owners that would host wild animals and for animal rights activists that want to see any exhibition of these animals go out. So these cafes where visitors can see and touch usually exotic animals that are sometimes not native to Korea. Sometimes we might go a lifetime without seeing them in the Korean wild. Raccoons is a good example. Meerkats, they've gone increasingly popular in Korea recent years.
Yeah, and with the increasing popularity, there have also been increasing criticisms that animals kept in these business establishments become distressed from exposure to customers, to humans, and as a result, that they suffer from poor management. And I don't know, it's just generally not a healthy environment for these wild animals. They should not be in any enclosed area.
It's not a natural environment. It's sort of so far removed. I know that we see certain cute videos online, pictures online, and think, oh, okay, so once they're domesticated, they're just like a regular pet. In most cases, it's not. I mean, they can survive, but is it the best environment for them? The short answer is no, which is why the Ministry of Environment's decision to prohibit the operation of such establishments came into place. Let's talk about this amendment specifically that was approved at the cabinet just earlier this month.
Yeah, so under the amendment to the Wildlife Protection and Management Act that was approved on December 5th, starting today, it will become illegal to exhibit wild animals in facilities that are not registered officially as zoos or aquariums. So in other words, owners of these wild animal cafes have to either re-register their establishments as zoos or stop operating altogether.
Zoos?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see why, as a cafe owner, not to just, speak on their behalf because they're not here. I just want to say, this is, their means of making ends meet, right? To minimize confusion, because transitioning from a cafe to a zoo sounds like a monstrous task, the government has implemented, of course, a grace period.
Yes, there's going to be a 4-year grace period that'll be in effect until December 13th of 2027. And during this time, wild animal cafes are technically allowed to operate without having to face any penalties. However, the authorities have noted that touching the animals will be immediately banned starting today. And how they're going to keep tabs on who touches what animals, I have no idea. It's so tricky, right?
Because first of all, it's a private business, so I just checking up sounds like a task that's unrealistic, and it would require manpower for them to crack down on any illegalities. We'll wait and see. Okay, so what happens to violators?
If they're caught, they're going to have to pay a fine of 1.5 million won, a little over 1,100 US dollars. Now, many wild animal cafe owners are devastated by the operation ban, which will force them to close their business, their livelihoods, basically.
Mm.
And for many, changing their business registration to a zoo is just not a feasible option. So they have no other choice than to close their establishments.
Okay, so another quick question, of course, is what happens to the animals once these establishments are
Yeah.
shut down after that grace period?
Exactly. So officials are talking about sending them to these government-run protection facilities for wild animals. The Environment Ministry said the wild animals will be able to find a new home at the National Institute of Ecology, located in Seocheon in Chungcheongnam-do province. And they say they also have plans to come up with additional similar facilities to accommodate these animals. And they say they will continue to engage in discussions with the cafe owners.
One of our listeners, Kevin Leonard, asked,
Yeah.
this doesn't affect dog and cat cafes, right? I don't think it does. Does it?
No, but
Okay.
animal rights activists are raising their own criticisms about the planned ban on these wild animal cafes, and their main concern, well, they believe that the legislation may fail to close existing loopholes in the
Mm.
management of privately raised wild animals,
Ah.
and many are concerned that as the ban applies primarily to mammals, the exhibition of many other exotic animals like birds and reptiles will still be allowed.
Mm.
Activists are also calling for the government to properly establish protection facilities for the wild animals and thoroughly monitor
Mm.
their transferal. So another issue here is that if cafe owners decide to release these animals into the wild, that could also lead to serious problems like disruptions in the ecosystem, you know?
Because they just don't belong. And
Right.
it just, from a non professional's perspective, that one animal can disrupt so much, right? That's so
Correct,
frustrating.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, in related news,
Mm.
aquariums in South Korea will be banned from purchasing new cetaceans like dolphins and whales
Okay.
for display, also starting today. Now, this announcement comes after the government revised the Act on the Management of Zoos and
So
Aquariums.
you said new cetaceans, right? So the existing
Yes,
ones would still be part of
right.
the aquarium experience.
Mhm.
What does this revision of the law actually entail?
Yeah, so this revision centers on prohibiting local aquariums from acquiring new whales and new dolphins for display to the public. And additionally, the revision forbids these facilities from allowing visitors to ride or to touch or to feed these marine mammals. Now, the government has also made it mandatory to win state approval to open a new aquarium in the future
Hmm.
while existing facilities required to meet the criteria within 5 years.
I mean, these stories are worth us following up on because we think it would be really simple, right? New law, more animal rights, but the
Right.
devil's in the details, and we'll have to wait and see how this
Mhm.
plans out. But that grace period is massively long.
Yes.
We'll wait and see what changes.
2027. Oh, the end of 2027 is
Okay.
when this grace period ends. So they have about 4 years.
Okay, let's move on to our
Yep.
second buzzword of the day. Now, great news for kimbap, bibimbap, and all of our food pronouns. There was a time when I suppose it required a little bit more of an explanation. What is kimbap? What is bibimbap? Times have changed, and people are
Yeah.
taking notice and using the Korean proper nouns.
Yes, and more food companies in South Korea are choosing to use Korean pronunciations and proper nouns for their brands and even product names.
Hmm.
They are recognizing that this strategy of using the Korean word helps their global premium strategy.
It's funny how that works, right? When it's
Yeah.
completely unfamiliar, it just doesn't work. When your entire culture is kind of having a moment globally,
Yeah,
it's a premium
I
strategy,
know.
right? Okay, let's go over some of the more recognizable examples.
Yeah, so one good example is this. During its early export phase, the 불닭볶음면, right, by
Mhm.
Samyang Foods was initially referred to by its English translation, fire noodle or hot chicken ramen. But now it is widely by widely, I mean globally, known as 불닭, thanks to YouTube and social media contents. The company has also developed and promoted something called a BFL, or the 불닭 Fire Level Index.
That's kind of
Now,
funny.
that is similar to the Scoville scale that's used to
Mm.
measure how spicy something is. Now, there's more actually. The company recently launched 맵탱.
Mhm.
It's a brand by the same company,
Okay.
and it's been creating a lot of buzz because they're using the term 맵 instead of the English adjective spicy in its advertising
Ah.
campaign. And also for their international brand, Tanghulu, the company used a Korean word as the brand itself. Now, Tanghulu, the word in Korean, describes the bouncy texture of food, including noodles.
All right, so you just explained the word tango means
Yeah,
bouncy, but it doesn't quite have the same ring in English.
yeah,
That's just the language of, I don't know, linguistic differences, but it
yeah,
must have been a dilemma for the brand developers because it also needs to be simple enough that an
yeah.
English speaker can pronounce it.
Yeah, it has to work, right? It
Yeah.
has to, to stick basically.
Yeah.
So the company definitely faced some challenges finding an equivalent word in English that evoked the idea and sensation of Tengelli noodles. And it was the third generation owner of the company
Mm.
that decided to just go with Tengel as the
Mm.
brand name. The company plans to further leverage their status as a global food company by strengthening their promotion of ramen products worldwide moving
Mm.
forward.
And also a great deal that the word tangle does exist in
Yeah.
English, right? So
Yeah, the way they spell it is like tangle, like Tangle.
like the Disney movie Tangled.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
If you go on YouTube, you'll find more and more non-Korean creators using Korean proper nouns to refer to certain Korean foods. I think kimbap it definitely had a
Yes.
moment this year.
Exactly. People are, calling kimbap and not sushi, which is entirely different, actually. They look similar in nature, like
Mm.
certain types of Japanese sushi wrapped in dry, seaweed sheets. But the very element that makes sushi sushi is not present in the Korean kimbap, and that's vinegar, right?
Yeah.
And foreign consumers are also using the term mandu to refer to dumplings, whereas a few years ago they used to call everything dumplings.
And that's kind of vague because
Yeah,
many Asian cultures have a
exactly.
variation of a dumpling. I would
Yeah,
even call a ravioli Italian dumpling, and we call it
exactly. Yeah.
ravioli. So let's give it a proper name. Okay, so we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna take out the song so we can get to our third story,
Oh,
Erica.
sure. Awesome.
Okay, our final story today. Oh man, this is just really bad practice giving other Tanggulu stores just a really bad reputation.
Yeah.
One store has been caught dumping its rather thick sugary syrup into a nearby gutter.
Yes, exactly. So a local district office is considering taking administrative action
Mm.
against this one Tanghulu store after it was caught basically dumping sugar syrup into a rainwater drain nearby the store.
Oh boy.
So there had been a complaint earlier this month
Mm.
that the store was dumping sugar syrup into the drain by the roadside. The incident was actually captured all on camera by the dash cam of this one
Mhm.
car that was passing by the store at the time. And in the footage, a man in an apron is seen like, stepping out of the store with this large pot and then pouring its contents
Mm.
into the rainwater drain. And you see this like bunch of steam rising from the drain. And a bunch of kids are running, to take a closer look. And the substance was indeed confirmed to be leftover sugar syrup from Tanghulu preparation. And last week, district officials visited the store to issue a guidance.
Okay, so what did the company have to say? Did it have an explanation?
Yeah, it sounds more like an excuse to me.
Okay.
They explained that the store's drains were clogged. I wonder why. So they had dumped the syrup into the rain gutter. They said once or twice, but who knows?
I really do believe in the things that we teach our elementary school students
Yes,
in school. Really?
I
Okay.
know.
All right. The basics, they count. Now, rain gutters are designed to collect and channel rainwater off the roads to sewer pipes when they are blocked by debris, trash, or leaves, or sugary syrup. You can only imagine the ripple effects.
I know. So, this is like common sense. I mean, sugar water hardens over time. That's the whole point of Tanghulu, right? So there's definitely a risk of these gutters becoming clogged or damaged over time. And
Mm.
sugar syrup cannot be recycled as fertilizer, so it has to be treated as general waste.
Mm. I'm at a loss for words. All right.
Common sense, everybody, and stop being selfish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Selfish, mindless,
Yeah.
annoying. I have many other adjectives I cannot share on air. Thanks, Erica.
Pleasure. Have a good day.
See you tomorrow. If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.